Welcome on into the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and it is time for the Week 7 running back rankings. If you missed it earlier this morning, Week 7 wide receiver rankings came out, and tomorrow morning, the quarterback and the tight end rankings will come out. Now, as of recording this, I've already posted all of the rankings, so you can find them all up on the website. That includes the projections that you're seeing on the screen. We're going to go through these. They're ranked in order of my rankings, but you can see the projections on the screen already. I have a low end and a higher end to the projection. This little kind of visual bars, you can kind of compare a couple of players with that, what I call an expected range of outcomes, is how I do my projections. Of course, I think the rest is pretty explanatory. Red is good, white, neutral, blue, bad in all ways in terms of the projections and in terms of this little player temperature gauge, which most simply way to think about it is that is a gauge of how good the matchup is, if this player is expected to have a good or bad week. Once again, red good, all the way down to blue being bad. And if you don't want all that kookiness, you just want a simple ranking, I have that for you just at the bottom. As you saw, I clicked on that tab. You can do the same thing up on the website, which if I didn't explain, there are links down in the description to the website to all the rankings. And yeah, just click on that tab at the bottom of the page there. The rankings do... you want to go be on a laptop of some sort, not really on a phone. I'm not really a website maker, so they don't show up the best on a cell phone if that's where you're going to plan on looking at them. Well, at least I've got you about the top 33 running backs in this video. There's another, I think, 52 total running backs that I have ranked this week, and there are several that I don't currently have ranked. I have projections for in case they play. We'll get to who I don't have ranked at the end of this running backs video. Last week I didn't do a video, so I have fades, I have loves. It's just like a start, sit type of thing. Same idea. Fades are your sits, loves are your starts. And for the running back position, I always pick two of each. And 2 weeks ago, week 5, how did I do? I went 50-50 basically here. Najee Harris and Dare Ogunbowale were my loves. I really want to take credit for that Dare Ogunbowale call out there. He finished as a running back 19. I don't think anybody was telling you to start Dare Ogunbowale 2 weeks ago except for me, so little toot of the horn there. Fades. Chuba Hubbard absolutely had a really good week. I think that was looking good for most of the game, and then all of a sudden, it went to shreds. And then Bucky Irving, I faded 2 weeks ago, finished as running back 45, so that worked out well. Let's get on to the Week 7 rankings, starting off with this first tier, going from my running back 1 through my running back 6. Your must starts, in other words, that's going to be Derrick Henry as my RB1, followed by Kyren Williams, Ken Walker, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, and Joe Mixon. You're starting these guys. I don't think there's, too much more to be said here. Let's go on to this second tier of running backs, which goes from my running back 7 all the way down to my running back 14, starting off with Bijan Robinson, who you see just doesn't quite have that lower end projection of pretty much anybody in this upper tier, or really a ceiling quite up there with them due to his shared usage. Still going up against Seattle. They have been struggling against the run, getting a little bit better against the run as well. So, we'll see exactly, but obviously you're probably starting them. And that's going to bring on my first love of the week at running back 8. Let's just finish off this tier, however. The rest of the tier, running back 9, includes Tony Pollard, followed by James Cook, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyrone Tracy, Kareem Hunt, and to finish this tier at my running back 14 is Chuba Hubbard. So a couple of surprise names maybe in here, just generally, a little bit surprising to see these names ranked so highly. J.K. Dobbins has been somebody who is early on in the season had some really good matchups for the first couple of weeks. Then he has a bye week last week, and before that, a couple of rough matchups in a row. And so I think I want to point this out for J.K. Dobbins, because when he's in good matchups, it's a really good situation. And this week, he's going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona is a bottom 10 team against the run on a per-run basis. Pretty much anytime I do stats, I almost always talk about a per-game, per-run type of basis, not a bigger view, because I think that's what really matters. In terms of this defense for Arizona, they've allowed the 12th most fantasy points to the position, the running back position. So, below average. It's not like the worst case scenario there. Talking about half PPR scoring specifically. The only reason that they're not allowing more fantasy points is because that most teams realize that their secondary is even worse than their front seven. Even though the front seven's not very good, they say, well, we can throw it even easier, more easily against this secondary. And they choose to attack that even more, at least early on. They still get run on plenty of attempts against them as well. In terms of this Los Angeles Chargers offense and what they want to do, I don't think that they really care about the fact that that secondary might be extra leaky and easy to attack. They will happily stuff the ball down Arizona's throats, and Dobbins should be the beneficiary of a combination of high efficiency and a lot of usage in this game, giving him an opportunity to have, I think, he could be the RB1 when all is said. It's one of those types of weeks for him. Very excited. No way I'm sitting J.K. Dobbins this week. And when you really think about it too, Arizona, that offense might be struggling a little bit, going up against a pretty good defense there with the Chargers. All the more reason for him to have feel a little bit more confident even in playing him with basically with MHJ being out is what I'm getting at there for Arizona. Other than that, Buffalo is a really, really good matchup for receiving backs. That's something that Tony Pollard can do. They've struggled against running backs, so I like that despite this temperature gauge not being so great for Tennessee. James Cook, we'll see about his health and how that might impact things. I just kind of have him parked here for now. Jahmyr Gibbs going up against Minnesota, just a tough matchup. You'll notice the other running back has yet to be named in here. Tyrone Tracy going up against Philadelphia. I like that a lot. Chuba Hubbard going up against Washington. You like that a lot. Kareem Hunt. We'll see what CEH coming back. Oh, that could cause some headaches. So we'll still yet to be determined on exactly what kind of impact that might happen. Let's just hope that it's not much or whatever. We'll figure it out as we go. That's going to bring us on to running backs 15 through 19, my third tier here, which kicks off with Josh Jacobs, followed by David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, health concerns there this week, so we'll see in terms of the rankings. Breece Hall and Devon Achane, who's technically still we don't know for sure. He's technically still questionable because of concussion 2 weeks ago. He should be fine, but we don't know for sure yet. I think he was still wearing the no contact jersey on Tuesday. So here, this little tier has a bunch of guys with either underperforming so far on the season in general and or tough matchups in general. Here is kind of the name of the game for this little group of running backs. So Josh Jacobs, it just hasn't been all that we've hoped for, but it's a really high-scoring matchup. I'm playing him with quite a bit of confidence, and I'm even willing to play him against somebody who's definitely done better than him on the season in David Montgomery, done better than a lot of guys that I have him ranked behind. I think he's my running back 2 on the season via my EV rankings, so really impressive. Why am I fading David Montgomery so much this week? Well, Minnesota has allowed the second fewest points to the running back position on average this year. They're tied for the second in yards per attempt against them, second least yards per attempt against them. It's a very, very stout defense. This is the exact type of defense that can help to mitigate, limit, even potentially cause a poor game for a guy like David Montgomery. So it's like smashing steel and steel against each other is the example that I wrote here. To have a good day, he's going to need to fall into the end zone, I believe. I believe it's going to be, he could always break out for a huge run. That's always possible. It's just much less likely against an opponent like this, who is so stiff against the run. And in terms of falling into the end zone, I do think this is why I still have him ranked fairly high. This is why I still have Jahmyr Gibbs ranked fairly high. I do think through the air, this Detroit offense should be able to move the ball against Minnesota pretty well. Could be a higher scoring game again here. And ultimately, there will be, near goal line opportunities for David Montgomery, and all it takes is one touchdown, and an inefficient 40-yard day, and you're at 10 points at least. So we're not getting crazy with this. This, I believe, is a Jahmyr Gibbs game, which is why I'm fading David Montgomery, but I don't want to fade him for just anybody, that kind of thing. I'm willing to sit him much more than, I have been in other games this year, but, once again, just don't get crazy with who you're setting him for, because that touchdown possibility is very much there. They're going to get into the red zone against Minnesota. After that, Jordan Mason, of course, the health issues, really tough matchup for him against Kansas City. So I don't love that. Breece Hall going up against Pittsburgh, tougher matchup for running backs there. And, it's been a little bit... the temperature gauge is not liking this game for Breece Hall. That's, I believe, the coldest there in terms of his likelihood of popping off. And then Devon Achane, not too far behind there, but I am expecting him to be healthy. Solid enough matchup. But with Raheem Mostert back, that's going to eat into some of this. But we don't know exactly how much because we haven't really gotten both of them on the field for a game yet. That's going to bring us on to the next tier from running back 20 all the way down to 28 before we get into my final tier here. And this kicks off with Alexander Mattison at running back 20, followed by James Conner, Chase Brown, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Tank Bigsby, Trey Sermon, Antonio Gibson, Nick Chubb. Now we're getting into an area where, I don't know. Follow your gut with the running back rankings this week. These were not fun rankings to get. I'm sure there will be some changes, or maybe I'll just stare at it into an oblivion. There won't be changes, but there's also a whole litany of guys who are questionable this week so far. That could also shift things, maybe make things a little bit more clear in some situations. That would be helpful, but it's not really pretty for the running back position once we get near the back end RB2/flex territory of the running back position. A lot of people, I suspect, you'll just want to flex your wide receiver in your flex spot this week. So let's start off with my love here in Alexander Mattison. Never thought this would be the case, but assuming Zamir White misses this week, and if we thought that Arizona was a good matchup for J.K. Dobbins, which we do think that is the case, then take a look at this Los Angeles Rams defense that the Las Vegas Raiders will be seeing this week. In 2 weeks without Zamir White, Mattison is averaging 18 to 19 touches a game. In 2 weeks without Zamir White against a very stingy Pittsburgh run defense and an average Denver run defense, over those 2 weeks, Alexander Mattison has still averaged 12 fantasy points. And I'm going to take a shot on what appears to be a relatively safe floor for Alexander Mattison given the matchup this week, given how he's performed without Zamir White in the lineup. Even with Zamir White in the lineup, right, he was okay. So if you have him on the roster and you got a bunch of these guys, give it some real consideration of just taking advantage of that matchup. He's been okay over the past 2 weeks. Nothing to complain about, really. And then we got my second fade here to finish up my loves and my fades in James Conner going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. So talked about my concerns about this Arizona offense in general against this defense this week, and probably the X factor is going to be James Conner. Does he have a big week or not? Do they utilize him more in the receiving game or not? So here's my notes on this matchup here. It's not that the Chargers are elite on a per-play basis against the run, but they are tied as the 7th best defense in only allowing an average of 4.2 rushing yards per carry to opposing running backs. When you combine that with the fact that teams have only run on them the 7th most times per game on average, so, not a whole lot across the entirety of the NFL, you get one of the lower floors for running backs in terms of the ground game. However, there is a silver lining here for James Conner. There is a reason that I still have him ahead of Chase Brown and some of these other names, despite really not being too optimistic about a lot of things surrounding him and this game, and coming off of a bad week last week. The vibes aren't fantastic. But where teams have attacked and found some fantasy success against this Los Angeles Chargers unit is through the air at the running back position. And we absolutely know through his history as a running back, James Conner is a good receiver out of the backfield. Last year, they used him quite a bit there, same coaching staff. Unfortunately, this year, he's only averaging 2 targets per game. I think that came to the 25th out of a certain amount of running backs that qualify. So near the bottom of the starting running backs in terms of the amount of targets that they're getting. Hopefully, for his sake, with Marvin Harrison out, he'll end up coming through. He did have 5 targets last week, 2.5 times more than his average on the season. Obviously, that's the most that he's had all season, and that was a game where early on in the game, Marvin Harrison Jr. went down. Was there a correlation there? We don't know for sure, but quite possibly. So I think that there is hope. Basically, what I'm saying, similar to David Montgomery, kind of trust the ranking here. Don't get too funky with it. Don't go starting a Dare Ogunbowale on a whim like I might have suggested 2 weeks ago. I don't really have that kind of target in the rankings this week, and at a certain point, there is a path to success for James Conner this week. Outside of that, in this tier, we've got Chase Brown going up against Cleveland. You like that? I still like to kick Zach Moss down the curb just a little bit more, give him just a little less usage, get Chase Brown just a little bit more involved before I'm feeling totally comfortable with this. You see he has one of the lowest floors of guys in this range, and there is a reason for that. Najee Harris going against the New York Jets, there's a path to success there, and of course the floor is always, possibly there, but who knows. Austin Eckler going up against Carolina, really, really good matchup. Might have to move him up. I just don't love him being in that primary running back role. I would actually, I don't know if where I rank him would be better if Brian Robinson were to return, but I would say I feel a little bit safer even though he doesn't have the ceiling then. So the ceiling this week, absolutely fantastic for Austin Eckler. This is one guy I would say if you just want to shoot for the ceiling over James Conner or something, maybe I'll even get him ranked higher throughout the week, but we'll see. We'll see for sure there. I'm probably a little low on Austin Eckler. Tank Bigsby going up against New Orleans. Trey Sermon, Miami. It's a really good matchup. The floor is not great, but wide range of possibilities there, and at a certain point this week, I'm willing to take a shot on it compared to like Antonio Gibson in a really good matchup there. And then we get Nick Chubb coming back, possibly from injury. Currently, I am ranking him, and this was my cutoff for him, which leads us to the final tier that we'll have in this video, which is my running backs 29 through 33. It kicks off with Ty Chandler. Really, really tough matchup against Detroit, so I'm not overly excited about that. Bucky Irving, really, really even tougher matchup against Baltimore, so I'm not overly excited about that. Zach Moss going up against Cleveland, Javonte Williams, New Orleans, Raheem Mostert, Indianapolis, nice matchup. Tough to say exactly how that split works with Devon Achane, so as much as I want to get more excited about him, it's tough to really know for sure what that's going to look like. And then we have a list of not ranked guys so far. So Zamir White currently not being ranked. Ramondre Stevenson not being ranked. Devin Singletary not being ranked. These explain some of where I have other guys ranked so far. Once they get ranked, obviously their counterparts in their offenses will almost certainly be ranked lower. Aaron Jones not ranked. Is that one? That one's pretty likely. I think that he's out. Brian Robinson Jr., I don't know for sure here going against Carolina. Sure would be nice to have him if you're a Brian Robinson owner. Jonathan Taylor, I really don't know. So for now, I'm just being cautious with it. I think that the report was that they're hopeful that he'll get out there and practice. So it wasn't overly promising that he'll be coming back. Rashad White, we'll see. I really have no clue on that. Travis Etienne, I think likely out on that one. So that ranking of Tank Bigsby, there you go. Solid enough matchup there. And this floor is kind of, you can kind of ignore that, I would say, to a certain extent. So there we go. Those are the current rankings. Once again, these things change throughout the week, so you can always come visit me live on Sundays, 2 hours prior to kickoff, or prior to that, you can visit me live Thursday, Saturday, both 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am available for all of your start sit questions and more. And thank you very, very much to the members of the channel. I appreciate you guys. You're freaking awesome. And let's go. Let's get the week going. Quarterback side ends video coming out tomorrow morning. Have a great night. And the week's about to start by the time you're watching this video. Tomorrow night already. Peace out.